Good morning. Cup of coffee down. And we're ready to clown. What do we got here? We got front and rear suspension off a 5th generation 4runner. And dimensionally, these are almost plug and play with the Montero suspension components. So we're going to see today, we're just going to focus on the rears. I've already done some R&D with the fronts, and we're having issues with the clearancing of these brackets. I am kind of prototyping right now. This is the Montero R&D situation going on. But anyways, I digress. We're going to focus on these big old 2.5-inch shocks with adjustable reservoirs. Now you're probably asking yourself, why would I ever do this? What's the gain here? Well, one, these are off a 4runner, which is plentiful in the United States, and you can get used ones for cheap. They're fully rebuildable. So I think I ended up paying $400 for the rears and $200 for the front. So $600 here. These fronts don't have resis, but I can add resis if I want. I can send them to Icon. They'll rebuild them. As long as the company's in business, you basically have fully serviceable shocks forever. But we're going to focus just on the rears. But they have adjustable dampeners. So depending on how stiff these things are for the rear end of the Montero, we can adjust. So that's a cool feature. Another cool feature is if you like to go fast, you're going to have a lot longer and better performance in terms of dampening off-road bumps. All right, so we've been at it for probably about half an hour now, rally racing down this track, this dirt road, and we're going to test and see how hot the Bilsteins are. Once we get out, there's a good chance they're going to be way too hot to the touch. So, probably a good move to move up to a reservoir shock for the old Montero. Oh yeah. She's bucking a lot in the rear, getting way overpowered. All our stuff in the back's flying around. Yeah, it's those pop outs that kind of gives a little subtraction for a bit, kind of float. The Bilsteins are honestly probably the best bang for buck shock out there. They just, if you drive fast and try to hoon it out there in the desert, they suffer from shock fade. They tend to get really soft as the fluid in here heats up because, one, they're only 2-inch bodied and there's no reservoirs. So these are great though. If you're not planning on doing anything like that, I highly recommend these. I've probably put who knows how many trails of abuse on these things. They have yet to leak. Still going strong. All right, we got the tire off, and while I'm in here, let's inspect these bump stops we put in about. These things have been through a couple trips. Took it all the way to Sedona, and we did Grand Canyon, we did Joshua Tree, some trails out there, and we did Death Valley, and they're holding up pretty well. It's only been a couple months, but they seem to be doing the trick. They haven't started to tear or anything, so that's good. But yeah, today we're just gonna be removing this guy and putting the icons in. Now there's videos out there on how to do this. Subscribe to his channel. He's the freaking legend, dude. He just sold his Gen 3, which was kind of like hearing your parents got divorced, but it is what it is. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these trucks. He has a video on how to remove these, but just in case, just a little refresher. It's a 21 millimeter on this bottom here, and then this top one we're gonna loosen as well. It's not spinning, so we got lucky there. Definitely will spin on you. Oh, there it goes. All right, so there's some dirt smacked in there, but it is a number 5 Allen key, and if I think I can use it to keep it from spinning. Yeah, nah, dude, easy peas, bro. All right, what now? You guys are doing the R&D with me here. So now that we got the tension off this bottom bolt, this should just pop right out. And voila. I gotta be careful when installing the new ones. I have these airlines. I put airbags just to help with, you know, the ability to adjust the rear end ride height when we're towing. We do markets, and I load this thing up heavy in the rear end, and it was sagging a bunch with these medium duty springs, and I was like, oh shoot, I think they're all PS-tied up. Oh, this guy's falling out. Well, that's not good. Make sure it goes down. But this airline I ran through the bottom here, up and then along the brake lines. So I just gotta be aware of that. But let's go put this side by side the other one and see what we're looking at. It is so close. And this was, I originally bought these because I was planning on doing like a 1-inch subframe drop. So I wanted all the suspension components to have an inch and extra extension length. But this is beautiful. Now you're probably asking, like, what about the bolt holes? How's that gonna work? So these icons come with a 3/4 inch eyelet there, and I'll put them in the link in the description or video. But I bought these adapters from Fox Racing, and what these do is nick it down to a 14mm bolt. So it's a sleeve that goes in there, and then it has these extra spacers that came with the parts that go on the outside. So that way it runs the same, takes the same bolt, and they'll be the same width. We're looking good there, Buttercup. All right, let's throw this thing on there. Mamas, don't let your boys grow up to go and be cowboys. All right, moment of truth here. So what I'm noticing with these wider bodied shocks is we are hitting this situation here, these. So I wonder if I could cut those out. All right, so here's the dilemma. We have interference issues with these brackets, that this top part is a little bit wider than the 2.5 inch. And it's hitting right here, not letting it seat fully. Where with the Kings, if you look, I'll throw an image up, the body is just 2 inch all the way through. And it doesn't have this top cap, which by the looks of that is why they're able to just plug and play here. So that's a good option if you want that. Or if you're like me and you like getting a good deal, you can buy used shocks off of 4runner and make some slight modifications to get them to work. So we have two options. One, we abandon trying to fit these, or two, we cut this bracket in a way that will not sacrifice or hinder the structural integrity of this. I would like to reuse this bracket. I don't want to have to weld in a new bracket, but just cutting away this lip here, because this lip is the part that is interfacing. Other than that though, I was able to kind of get it up in here, and it seems to do fine. Okay, so here is the material we would remove. We would kind of cut down this and just cut it to there, and then all this is what we would remove. But there you go. Now you have a good representation of what we'll cut away. Jury's still out on whether this is a smart idea or a bad idea, and how much structural integrity will we sacrifice there. Moving forward, I'm thinking I'm just gonna incorporate these just like I did with the fronts when I was testing those out. We're gonna incorporate these. You can see I lined up where the mounting point is. You can see these are about 1.5 inches more extended than these Bilsteins. What I'm kind of gathering here is that these shocks would be better suited with 1-inch subframe drop. So we will drop this rear subframe, put a spacer there, and we'll get an adjustable trailing arm. All right, so that concludes today's episode of Montero R&D, and we're gonna put the Bilsteins back on and wrap this up. Thanks for watching. And also stay tuned for when we do build that subframe kit. Like, comment, subscribe.